Gas is getting cheaper. Do not tell that to California. No, they wouldn't like that. Statewide average there, nearly $1 a gallon higher than the rest of the country. Drivers in California spent about $1.2 billion more just on gasoline than the rest of the country in the month of July. That trend has billionaire environmentalist Tom Steyer, along with the non-profit group Consumer Watchdog, condemning oil companies for what they're calling historic profits at the expense of consumers. Clearly, there's an argument. Joining us now, Consumer Watchdog President Jamie Court. Jamie, welcome to the program. It's good to have you with us today, sir. Thank you.
It's my pleasure.
Now, if you insist on a certain blend of gasoline for the state of California, and there's only a few refineries, I think 14 refineries, that can create that special blend, you're restricting supply, so the price goes up. It's my opinion that the reason for the high price of gas in California is those special blends at the instigation of the Greens. Now, where am I going wrong?
Well, for 15 years we've had this special blend. I mean, to produce it, it's about 10 cents more. We do have a geographic fuel island, but what you're not looking at is the profit reports. The oil refiners themselves. Chevron had the two best quarters, first and second quarter in its West Coast in its refining business ever, and 54% of its refineries in California. Tesoro had the best second quarter ever. That's it from its California. Valero had 1,100% increase. That's the fourth largest refiner out here in its California profits. So when these companies are taking literally out of that, we're paying $3.80 down the street here in L.A. $1.61 home in margins. That's from the state of California when they usually take 48 cents. They are deliberately keeping us running on empty. But what you're not recognizing is that while those 14 refineries specialize in making our fuel, it is made elsewhere. It just takes 2 to 3 weeks to get into this state. And since February, these refiners have had unprecedented outages. They've stopped imports in July. They've kept us running on what they say in investor reports are tight supplies to drive up profits.
There have been outages at refineries.
That's right, but they can import.
Do you think
they can import?
Do you think it's deliberate?
I don't know, because I can't breach those refinery walls. But to a lot of people out here, it does feel like the electricity crisis, because we had planned as well as unplanned outages.
It's always a conspiracy with you guys, isn't it? It's always the wicked oil companies, the wicked refineries.
No, it's not. I've been following this market. First of all, you don't know me.
Why do you need to have this? Why do you have to have these special regulations in California?
Well, we have. If you lived in L.A., you'd see how the air has changed. But they make this blend of fuel elsewhere. We don't have interstate pipelines, which is another real issue.
Truck it in. You knew that going in. You knew that would raise the price.
Why are you beating up on Californians who paid literally billions more for their gas when the reality is the oil refiners acknowledge getting rich off California?
I'm beating up on the Greens who created this situation in the first place.
Look,
and I'm trying to think, what's it like living in California with the highest poverty rate in the nation, and you've imposed on them this massive increase in gasoline prices, and now you're blaming all the wicked oil companies. I've been hearing that for a generation in America.
Well, look, oil refiners chose to keep us running on 7 days of fuel as opposed to 18 around the rest of the nation. They have the refining capacity, they have the import capacity to bring in this fuel. They choose not to because it makes them more money.
They're running full tilt. And when one of those 14 refineries goes down, when they go down, the supply is restricted, and you're back to the same story. Supply and demand equals price.
Look, if we knew, let me explain this. If we had a strategy where refiners had to show us when their refineries went down why, and for what reasons, and they're not running full tilt, which is why we have historically low inventories. If they had to justify those refinery outages, they had to justify exports. They have had really big exports to South America and to Mexico from our refineries. We have tracked 7 ships carrying 13 million gallons of fuel from our refineries. That's California refined fuel. They're doing it to jack up the price, and it is just like Enron all over again. And we're going to reform them so Californians don't get screwed again.
Well, maybe voters in California will reform you. Because if they had a clear choice, if we could buy gasoline without these special needs of a special blend, and we got the price down, I bet they'd vote for that and not for you. 10 seconds, your last turn.
We have a ballot measure. Let's go into November 2016, and we'll see, buddy. Come out here, and we'll see who wins that in the measure. I look forward to that choice. Oil refiners versus the public.
Okay, buddy. Go after him, why don't you? Jamie, it was a pleasure. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll
Thank
see you.